ॐ शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये दोर्भिर्युक्ता चतुर्भिस्फटिकमणिमयीम् अक्षमालां दधाना हस्तेनैकेन पद्मं सितमपि च शुकं पुस्तकं चापरेण भासा कुन्देन्दुशङ्खस्फटिकमणिनिभा भासमाना समाना सा मे वाग्देवतेयं निवसतु वदने सर्वदा सुप्रसन्ना। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। पूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं वाल्मीकिर्मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणः शृण्वन् रामकथानादं को न याति परां गतिं गोष्पदीकृतवाराशिं मशकीकृतराक्षसं रामायणमहामाला रत्नं वन्दे नीलात्मजम्। अञ्जनानन्दनं वीरं जानकीशोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्काभयङ्करं यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम्। वैदेही सहितं सुरद्रुमतले हैमे महामण्टपे मध्ये पुष्पकमासने मणिमये वीरासने सुस्थितम् अग्रे वाचयति प्रभञ्जनसुते तत्त्वं मुनिभ्यः परं व्याख्यान्तं भरतादिभिः परिवृतं रामं भजे श्यामलम्। नमोऽस्तु रामाय सलक्ष्मणाय देव्यै च तस्यै जनकात्मजायै नमोऽस्तु रुद्रेन्द्रयमानिलेभ्यः नमोऽस्तु चन्द्रार्कमरुद्गणेभ्यः। Okay, so last time we were looking at Ayodhya Kanda Sarga 100, also known as Kashchit Sargaha, wherein the word Kashchit has been used more than 70 times, and it is one of those sargas that which talk about Rajadharma, the principles of governance and so on, that Rama explains to Bharata. I have also shared the original text of, that is the full text of Sarga 100 on the group. The link has been shared. Those who have the Ramayana books, you can refer to that too. Okay. Sarga 100, Rama's questions to Bharata. Now these are a few ideas with their verses that have been told. Before that, in the initial part, that is from verse 1 to 8, that is there, Rama, he sees that Bharata has fallen at his feet and he feels very bad. Bharata feels very bad, that he feels guilty that because of him, his mother, Rama has been banished to the forest. So at that time, Rama consoles Bharata and lifts him up, consoles him, lifts him up, keeps him on his lap and so on, saying that he consoles him fully. And then he asks that, now till now Rama doesn't know that his father Dasharatha is no more. So he asks, saying that how is our father, is he even alive? Why he asks this question directly is because if Dasharatha was alive, maybe Bharata would have not come to the forest. That is, they would not have left the king alone and come, because Rama knew that the king was not keeping well, because while he was leaving only, the condition of the king was not that good. So is he even alive to see? Because why I'm a bit doubtful on this is because I don't, all of you have come, so therefore I'm a bit doubtful whether the king is there or no. And then he asks a few questions. Are you taking care of the kingdom properly? Are you properly serving our parents, serving your father, and so on? And is he keeping in good health? So all these questions Rama inquires in the first 8 verses. And then from verse 9 to 9 onwards, if you see again, he continues that whether do you have equal respect for Kaushalya, Sumitra, your own mother Kaikeyi. So all this he tells. And then how is Vasishta? So that is verse number 9 to 13, if you say, honoring and respecting great people, including his own parents and gurus. I'll just stand those verses so that you get an idea. सा कच्चित् ब्राह्मणो विद्वान् धर्मनित्यो महाद्युतिः इक्ष्वाकूणामुपाध्यायो यथावत्तात पूज्यते. Please refer to the link or the book for the text. कश्चिद् विनयसम्पन्नः कुलपुत्रो बहुश्रुतः अनसूयुरनुद्रष्टा सत्कृतस्ते पुरोहितः कच्चिदग्नेषु ते युक्तो विधिज्ञो मतिमान् ऋजः हुतं च होष्यमाणं च काले वेदयते सदा अच्छेद्देवान् पितॄन् भृत्यान् गुरून् पितृसमानपि वृद्धां शतात वैद्यांश ब्राह्मणांश्चाभिमन्यसे. So he asks everyone, how is our father, how are our mothers, how are our gurus, how are the elders, how are the priests, how are the teachers? Is everyone keeping good health? Are you taking care of everyone? Are you honoring and respecting all these great people? This is what Rama questions Bharata. Next, like this, Rama talks about various aspects that are there. Next, what Rama does is, sorry?
This slide, ideas on administration and leadership. What is it about actually?
It is Sarga 100 of the Ramayana.
Okay, that is the extract of
Yes,
all.
yes. So basically it talks about some few important principles, so that has been mentioned. Next verse 15-16. What does Rama say? Kachidatma samashuraha shrutavanto jitendriyaha kulinam stengitagnyascha kritaste tatamantrinaha mantro vijayamulam hi ragnyam bhavati raghava susamvrito mantridhuraihi amatyai shastra kovidaihi. Further, he says that the counselors who are there, just as nowadays, if we want some advice or so, there are certain counselors. Now, of course, in today's times, maybe we hire those counselors, or in general, you can consider somewhat what we call as consultants also. So you go and consult and ask people, and they advise us. So, like this in the kingdom also, there used to be a few counselors. There used to be maybe elders or experts, like we had Chanakya for Chandragupta Maurya. That way, so he said, he asks here, Rama asks that hope the counselors are also wise, and you should not go and randomly ask advice from anyone. Otherwise, our kingdom will be in danger. So I hope the counselors are also quite good. I hope they are guiding you in the right path and so on. They have a control on their senses. They are using their brains properly. So that is very important. Otherwise, if they guide you on the wrong path, you might end up taking the wrong decisions. It might affect the whole kingdom in general. So this is what Rama specifies. Two more verses in 71-72 verse number also it comes. The importance of counseling. मन्त्रिभिस्त्वं यतोदिष्टं चतुर्भिस्त्रिभिरेव वा कच्चित् समस्तैर्व्यस्तैश्च मन्त्रं मन्त्रयसे बुध कच्चित्ते सफला वेदाः कच्चित्ते सफला क्रियाः कच्चित्ते सफलादाराः कच्चित्ते सफलं श्रुतम्. Further he says that I hope you have only 3 or 4 wise and you can say whom we can trust at counselors, not many, because you ask now, it's a very common thing, right? We asked 10 people, obviously 10 people will have 10 different opinions. It might lead to further confusion. So whoever 3 or 4, the limited number of counselors that you have, ensure that they guide you properly. Otherwise, everyone, because of the difference of opinions, you might also get confused. And further he said that you've studied a lot of Vedas and so on, all the scriptures, you've got a lot of knowledge. So don't just stick to what your counselors say. You use your own knowledge and then with the help of others also, you take the proper decision. So further, there are a few more questions that Rama asks. He says, has your wife given birth to an offspring or so? Then further, have you taught your child? Because why he asks this question is not for any personal reasons. He says so that further you can start the process of guiding and counseling your own child, that is there, guiding him on the path of Raja Dharma and so on. So I have been banished to the kingdom, so now I don't have any thought of begetting children or so on, but at least because now you have become the next king, you are staying in the kingdom, have you done all this? So like this, these are all different questions that Rama asks. Further, 18, 20, 21 talk about importance of keeping secrets. Now this is something where we know something, immediately go and tell everyone everything. That should not be done. Certain secrets should always be maintained, be it in the kingdom or be it in our own house also. Any random people you go and tell them everything, they might know our secrets, right? So that is not needed. So there should be a few secrets, like say for example a few important decisions which should not be openly disclosed in public. Only when the right time comes they should be told. So that is 18, 19, 20. Kachin mantrayasenaikaha kachinna bahubessaha kashchitte mantrito mantro rashtram na paridhavati kachidarte vinishchitya lagumulam mahodayam kshipramarabase karma nadirghayasi raghava कच्चिन्न सुकृतान्येव कृतरूपाणि वा पुनः विदुस्ते सर्वकार्याणि न कर्तव्यानि पार्थिवाः. And further what he says is, I hope that Rama asked Bharata that I hope the decisions that you take, you don't take because someone else forces you to do so. I hope you counsel everyone, you ask everyone, then you use your own brains, and then you take the right decisions. Don't just merely someone has forced you, so you do that. It will lead you to danger, just as it has already happened in the case of Dasharatha. Of course, here in the case of Dasharatha, he had promised 2 boons, so he could not break his promise. So therefore Rama here highlights that before you take any decision, be very careful so that there will be no regrets in future. Further, he says that whatever you want to do, you have a proper planning. Do it in secrecy. Only when things have reached their level, only when some announcement has to be made, do it at the last, when everything has been pre-decided. Only like 10% some thought comes to my mind, immediately I go and disclose it. We never know whether it will work or whether others will appreciate or they'll try to bring in problems. We never know. So let the whole plan take place. You make some decisions, and ultimately when you feel that okay, what from my side everything is done, then you make the announcement. So this is what Rama tells. Like all this is related to Rajadharma. That is a few decisions that we have to take in our kingdom, but it is applicable to our lives also. Whenever we have to take an important decision in the family, in our own house, or maybe at a personal level, we have to always think. And something comes to my mind, immediately I go and tell 4 people. I myself don't know how it is going to happen. It might lead to confusion. Further, keeping away from fools. If one person is good, you will have 9 people who are fools, right? So we have to be very careful in choosing the right people. So verse number 22. कच्चित् सहसैर्मूर्खाणाम् एकमिच्छसि पण्डितं पण्डितो यर्थकृच्छ्रेषो कुर्यान्निःश्रेयसं महत् सहस्राण्यपि मूर्खाणां यदुपास्ते महीपतिः अथवाप्ययुतान्येव नास्ति तेषु सहायता एकोऽप्यमात्यो मेधावी शूरो दक्षो विचक्षणः राजानं राजपुत्रं वा मा प्रापयेन्महतीं श्रियम्. Here Rama, what he says that you choose one learned man, that is enough. You don't need 10 scholars, because one learned person is always better than thousands of fools. So therefore this can lead you to, you can say, immense financial crisis. Just as I'll give you an example. What we do is, now all of us, we do some investments or something. So most of us, what we do, you have some CA, right? You appoint a CA, you go and ask him, that person guides us. Instead of that, and then we have full faith on the person, we stick to only that one person. Nowadays maybe people don't even do that. Out of our own research we do something, and that's how we go about it. We don't go and ask 10 people. Whereas the same thing, if you ask 10 different people, like say for example all these, you go to maybe a public place or so, sometimes you get those calls, right, for selling different credit cards, debit cards and so on. Everyone has their own offer, or maybe all the banks, they will say, no, our bank is the best, our bank, these are the facilities we provide. Not only a bank, it can be anything. So listening to all this, when we listen to these things, all the 10 places where we go, everything we like, right, and we are not able to choose one. That is when and maybe you believe in everything, you do some investment, and ultimately out of those 10, maybe only one bears fruit, remaining it can be useless, it can lead to losses, we never know. So therefore always consulting one person who is considered to be a learned man. It might take some time. Maybe immediately we cannot arrive at a decision. It might take a few days or few months to decide who is the right person, but once that decision is taken, then you can maybe totally believe or totally have trust. You don't have to change places, you don't have to go to 10 other people and so on. So therefore it is very, very important that Rama highlights. You said you keep one learned person, that is enough, instead of 1,000 fools, because it might lead to crisis, like even financial crisis. Further he says that even when though you boast you have 1,000 friends, you have 1,000 counselors, 1,000 ministers who are going to help you, all of them are fools. When the right time comes, nobody is going to help you, you will be left all alone. So instead of that, you have one trusted person, that is more than enough. Further he says that one person what are the qualities of that one learned person? He should be very clever, he should be talented, he should have a good knowledge of politics. Why politics? Because Rama is highlighting Rajadharma, therefore that person should be knowledgeable about politics. Best example, Chanakya Chandragupta Maurya. Chanakya was Arthashastram, that he has written, political science, or you can consider economics. Though he was very shrewd, that we call it. Shrewd is something, it's not evil, but at the right time, right decisions have to be taken. You should not, you can say, not take a decision emotionally also. Be practical, at the same time not show that, like some people you see whenever they speak, they seem to be quite rude, right? Maybe they are not rude, we don't mean so, but our way of speaking matters. Whereas some people, they are so smart, maybe even certain things which are actually harsh to hear, they will tell us in such a way that we don't feel it's that rude or it's that harsh. So this is called shrewdness. Chanakya had this quality, and therefore Chandragupta Maurya was truly blessed with a true counselor. So the same quality is here Rama is highlighting. Further he says that I hope you have divided your servants also accordingly. Servants is the ministers. So not now, if you see, say for example, there is a company also. Not everyone is given the job of everything, right? If now, say for example, I am working for a company also, all the things that are there, be it the support functions or sales or whatever it is, everything I don't take care of. I am given one department, one place where maybe it's my expertise. Beyond that, I don't do that. So like this, all of us, if you see, we are all experts in one place. We cannot take care of everything. Now, one person will do everything in this world. That will not happen. So Rama says you divide your servants and ministers properly also. Ensure that they are given the right responsibilities. Maybe a few people, few ministers, they are very physically, they are strong also. So maybe you can place them at the borders so that if there is some attack, those soldiers will fight there. Whereas maybe a very lame person who does not have physical strength, who cannot fight with enemies, if you place him at the borders, it's of no use. So therefore you be very, very smart. Whereas maybe a person like Sumantra also, the Ashtamantris of Dasharatha, they are quite smart. So they can be kept in the chariot, they can be kept in the palace. Maybe while taking some important decisions also, they will be helpful. So depending on the qualities that each one of us, each one of your ministers and servants has, take the right decision, give them the right responsibilities. This is your point. Then later you regret that people are not doing their work properly. That is not in their hands. We cannot blame anyone then. So it is in your hands to hand over the right responsibilities to the right person. Now for many years all these servants and ministers are living with us, so we know what are their qualities, what exactly a person is an expert in. So based on that you give them their duties so that each one will do their work properly and the kingdom will function nicely. Next, 25-26, it talks about कच्चिन्मुख्यामहस्वेव मध्यमेषु च मध्यमाः जगन्याश्च जगन्येषु भृत्यास्ते तातयोजिताः अमात्यानुपधातीतान् पितृपैतामहान् शुचीन् श्रेयान् शेषेषु कच्चित्त्वं नियोजयसि कर्मसु. The same thing that I told you, divide the ministers and servants properly. That is, and they should also pass all tests of loyalty. That is nothing but they should be truly loyal. Otherwise, a person will come, maybe he'll steal everything and go away. You are at loss. So therefore, ensure that whomever you appoint, you've taken a proper test. Just as we have an interview, similarly, you take a proper test. Ensure that the person has got the right qualities. Then you appoint them, and that's how the kingdom will function. For the 38-39, कच्चिन्न लोकान्यतिकान् ब्राह्मणान् सातसेवसे अनर्थकुशलाह्येते बालाः पण्डितमानिनः धर्मशास्त्रेषु मुख्येषु विद्यमानेषु दुर्बुधाः बुद्धिमान् वीक्षिकं प्राप्य निरर्थे प्रवदन्ति ते. So here he says that I hope that you do not maybe give a lot of you can say hope also to some negative elements in the society. Negative elements is maybe people who pass on some comments based on one's own dharma, or someone who is an atheist and so on. So such things don't do. And because it is said that some people, like just as you can consider the recent political scenario of our country, people not knowing anything, just sitting at their houses, they make some comments, right? And then we also feel, oh, will that be there? So the entire country will be at loss then. So therefore ensure that you don't entertain such elements that are there. Only those who know truth. There are some people who will always keep asking tarkam. Tarkam is logic. Now asking logic or asking right questions is fine. But then the person who asks pariprashnena sevaya, just as Krishna also highlights in the Gita, questioning is not wrong, but asking questions in the right way is very, very important. Just for poking, or just for, you can say plainly, just to think that whether the opposite person is knowledgeable, is learned or so, to test someone else's knowledge if we question, that is definitely wrong. From your side now, if you genuinely have a doubt, so for example, you have some doubt with regards to the Ramayana, you come and ask me, you know about the Ramayana, from your side you have done your research, and then maybe you have a doubt somewhere, you come and ask, that is a different thing. Whereas who has written the Ramayana, what is the story of Ramayana, is it true, is it false. So here what it shows that now asking such questions is not wrong, but then from your side you don't even know what is a Ramayana, you don't even put in the efforts to read, and then without knowing anything we proclaim it is true, it is false, and so on, right? So that is something which is wrong. So Rama himself says, if there are some people like that who keep questioning on things without any meaning, they are atheists, they based on their silly logic, if they keep questioning you, then ensure that such people are rid away initially, because in the initial stage itself, so that the other citizens also are not affected. Further, based on now job allocation also, that is highlighted in verse number 25-26. This based on the qualities of people, assign them the right jobs, assign them the right duties, so that everyone can function properly. Next, 27 and 29 talks about law and punishment. 27th verse, कच्चिन्नोग्रेण दण्डेन वृषमुद्वेजिताः प्रजाः राष्ट्रे तवावजानन्ति मन्त्रिणः केकयीसुत. 29 उपाय कुशलं वैद्यं भृत्यं संदूषणे रतं शूरमैश्वर्यकामं च यो हन्ति न सहन्यते. Rama here says that I hope all the priests who are undertaking the sacrifices and so on, they are also respecting you, you are also showing them proper respect, and I hope now all the people of Ayodhya also are showing some respect. The reason why he asks this is because Kaikeyi, his mother. So people of Ayodhya were actually not having, you can say, a good attitude towards Bharata, because his mother had done that. So therefore, Rama consoles Bharata and asks him, I hope people are also behaving well with you. And then he says that though you have set up some rules, now till now Rama doesn't know that Bharata has not become the king. So that's the reason he asks all this question. Rama he asks that if you have set up some rules and regulations, I hope the people are not much troubled. So your rules, though they have to be strict, at the same time they should not cause trouble to the people. So I hope people are following all the rules properly, and because of this, even to all your ministers also are respected. Sometimes what happens is, if the citizens are not happy, they will keep names to the minister, to the king, and so on. I hope such things are not there. So therefore ensure that everything is managed properly. You must set up rules, but at the same time it should not be too strict that people are not able to follow, it is causing trouble to them. So ensure that everything is functioning properly. 56 to 59 talks about various punishments that have to be given. कच्चिदार्योऽपि शुद्धात्मा क्षारितश्चापकर्मणा अदृष्टश्शास्त्रकुशलैः न लोभाद् बध्यते शुचिः गृहीतश्चैव पृष्टश्च काले दृष्टः सकारिणः कच्चिन्नमुच्यते चौरः घनलोभा नरर्षम व्यसने कच्चिदाड्यस्य दुर्बलस्य च राघव अर्थे विरागाः पश्यन्ति तवामात्या बहुश्रुताः या निमित्या विशास्तानां पतन्त्यश्रूणि राघव तानि पुत्रपशून् घ्नन्ति प्रीत्यर्थमनुशासिनः. Further Rama asks that I hope all the people who are working, they are working properly in front of your eyes, that is behind your back. I hope there is no stealing or nothing of that sort that is happening. I hope all the ammunition, provisions, water, that is the necessary things, all the facilities are being provided by you properly, and I hope always in the treasury the income is always more than the expenditure. While all the taxes and everything is being collected, ensure that the income always is more than what you spend, so that the treasury will always be maintained, the money will always be available, wealth is there whenever needed. So ensure that all this is there. Expenditure, it should always be surplus, otherwise it will lead to problems. So ensure that the budget is maintained properly. Further he says that I hope that you do not give your wealth to undeserving people. This is something which he highlights. Maybe people like us also, maybe the roadside beggars, sometimes we give and then they use it for maybe not for their own thing, maybe they waste it on some addictions and so on. So that way I hope that your money always goes to the deserving one only. Deshe kale cha patre cha, Krishna also tells patraha, meaning only to the deserving one. So ensure how your wealth goes. So whomever ministers you have appointed to take care of the treasury, see to it that they are also rolling out the money and wealth properly. There is no in between middleman stealing or something that is happening. So ensure that all these things take care properly. Further he said that I hope you show a lot of hospitality to the visitors or maybe the priests, learned people who come to the kingdom. There you must not be stringent, you must not be a miser and say not use money there. So wherever needed, of course you have to use it. So though you don't give it to the undeserving people, ensure that whenever people come to your houses or someone comes, even a normal subject, they have some problems, they come just to consult you, ensure that you provide them with proper hospitality, food, water and so on. So there no money, nothing, wealth, nothing should be seen. So ensure that such way there is a proper balance that is mentioned. And people in further, the punishments should be given to the person who has committed a crime or a sin, and ensure that good people or pious people are not given punishments. Sometimes it so happens that it might be a mistake of someone else, but we end up punishing good people. So see to it that all such things are not done. Stick to the law properly. So these things are highlighted in verses 56 to 59. Further, 28, 54, 55. 28th verse. कच्चित्त्वां नावजानन्ति याजकाः पतितं यथा उग्रा प्रतिगृहीतारं कामयानमिव स्त्रियः. He says that I hope all the priests and everyone is doing all the sacrifices properly. That is the things that are there in the treasury. Also you use it for sacrifices and good things. So all such things are very, very important. So where money has to be used, we have to make a note of that, otherwise it will lead to problems. 54, 55. Yaste viplav kaschet kachidalpaparo vyayah apatreshu nate kaschet kosho gacchati ragavah devatarthe cha pitrarte brahmana bhyagateshu cha yodeshu mitravargeshu kachchit gacchati te vyayah. Now where the money in the treasury goes, all that Rama highlights where you should use it in the right way. So here Rama says that somewhat same, wherein the treasury management and taxation, that is the money that we get through taxes, ensure that that is there, it is maintained in the treasury properly, the income is always surplus, it doesn't become deficit. Just as in economics we use such terms, right, in while framing the budget. Similarly, ensure that nothing goes deficit, everything should be surplus, there should be a proper balance, income should always be more than the expenditures. Ensure that all the money is, though it is not wasted by giving it to the undeserving people, you use it only for good things and to distribute it among good and pious people. Next, about army and defense, a few things have been highlighted. Okay, till here is everyone following? Yeah?
Yes,
Okay. Yes, Sanjeev, do you want to say something?
Madam, that's why nowadays the justice that says that even if 100 culprits are left, no problem, but one person who is not at all guilty not should not be given the
Correct, right. So basically whatever we give, it should only be to the deserving people. Army and defense, he talks about in verse 30 to 33. कच्चिन्कृष्टश्च शूरश्च धृतिमान् मतिमान् शुचिः कुलीनश्चानुरक्तश्च दक्षसेनापतिः कृतः बलवन्तश्च कच्चित्ते मुख्या युद्धविशारदाः दृष्टापदाना विक्रान्ताः त्वया सत्कृत्यमानिताः कच्चिद्बलस्य भक्तं च वेतनं च यथोचितं सम्प्राप्तकालं दातव्यं ददासि न विलम्बसे कालातिक्रमणे ह्येव भक्तिवेतनयोर्भृताः भर्तुरप्यधिकोप्यन्ति सोऽनर्थः सुमहान् कृतः. So here what he says is, I hope a man who is quite talented has been well appointed by you. That is, anyone who is appointed on a new position also, I hope they are given proper, you can say, treatment, they are given the right position, they are paid the right salary. Nobody should be underpaid, nobody should be overpaid. Now, mainly he highlights about underpayment. If someone is underpaid, that person will never continue discharging his duties. So ensure that everyone is paid properly based on their skills and the work that they do. Next, all the soldiers who are going to go and maybe fight in the battlefield or so, when there is an enemy attack, ensure that they are quite proficient in the use of weapons, in the knowledge of warfare and so on. Don't just randomly appoint anyone. So just as we have the interview process nowadays, ensure that you too have a proper, you can say, practical also, wherein you see to it that the soldiers whom you send to fight with the armies, ensure that they are well trained, you provide all the things that are needed for their training and so on. Only then the army will be able to function properly. So randomly do not just pick people and place them in different positions. Analyze properly and then do it. Further he says that I hope you distribute the provisions that are there, just as we have something called ration, right? A ration that we distribute amongst few segments of the society. In those times, the entire Ayodhya used to be provided with provisions. So on a monthly basis, I hope you are distributing the provisions, daily provisions that are there, so monthly, weekly, or maybe daily, it depends. And also I hope the salary that you pay, vetanam, is given on a monthly basis. So ensure that there is no delay on this, because all the people, they are dependent on your, the way you provide them food, the way you provide them vetanam and so on. So ensure that all this is done properly. Only then the kingdom will be able to function, people will be happy. And further what he says is, people who are being paid some vetanam or they are being provided with some daily provisions, if you don't do things at the right time, like any common man, they will be agitated, because they have their own responsibilities that they have to follow. They have to fetch for their families, they have to collect wealth and money for their functions, for their family to function properly. So ensure that there is no delay in paying their vetanam, that is their salary, and also in providing their daily provisions. So if all such things are followed, then the kingdom will surely function well. Next, verse number 37, what he says, कच्चिद्व्यपस्तान् हितान् प्रतियातांश सर्वदा दुर्बलान् अनवज्ञाय वर्तसे रिपुसूदन. He says that I hope that you have a proper idea of your enemies. You don't expect them to be, you can say, maybe there might be some enemy or some king who is quite weak, but then for that, don't take them for granted, don't be overconfident, because we never know how times will change. That king might get into an alliance with someone else and he might try to attack the kingdom. So at that time, he will surely emerge strong and powerful. Therefore, from your side, you ensure that even though the enemy seems to be weak or so, you be properly prepared. Further, verse 53, कच्चिद्दुर्गाणि सर्वाणि धनधान्ययुतोदकैः यन्त्रैष्टप्रतिपूर्णानि तदा शिल्पिधनुर्धरैः. I hope the entire treasury, or the place where we store food, grains, food, or even waters, wells, all of that are full of water, food. Also ammunition, a lot of ammunition is always kept ready, so that whenever there is an attack, we can use it. So ensure that all these arrangements are made well in advance. There should be nothing less. Whenever the time comes in, it has to be held properly. Next is intelligence gathering. That is, always you should have a council, you should have a meeting regularly. You ask the opinions of others also. If a kingdom has to function properly, asking the opinions of the common people and the fellow councillors and ministers is very, very important. Only then the kingdom will function properly. Only the king, though he is a ruler, doesn't mean that all the decisions he can take by himself. Rather, that should not be done. So ensure that you have a gathering of good, intelligent people. But again, remember, whenever there is a gathering, ensure that the people are wise. They don't randomly tell something and waste everyone's time, that it might lead to even losses. So ensure that whatever decisions you take are also correct. So 34 to 36 talks about that. कच्चिदष्टादशान्येषु स्वपक्षे दशपञ्च च त्रिभिस्त्रिभिरविज्ञातैः वेत्सितीर्थानि चारकैः कच्चिद्व्यपस्तान् हितान् प्रतियातांश सर्वदा दुर्बलान् अनवज्ञाय वर्तसे रिपुसूदन कच्चिन्न लोकायतिकान् ब्राह्मणान् सातसेवसे अनर्थकुशला ह्येते बालाः पण्डितमानिनः. Now he says that Ashtadashanyeshu Swapakshe. Now there are said to be 18 functionaries of a kingdom, that is 18 different categories of ministers. Just as we have different departments, different ministers, governor, chief minister, of each ministry you have a particular department. Similarly, in those times also there used to be different designations. I'll just tell you in just a few names. 18, it will be mostly there in your Ramayana books. So the chief minister, then the family priest, the prince, that is a to-be prince, then the one who takes care of the army part, then one who takes care of the jails, Karagara Dhiksha, then one who is from the government, there is an advocate who comes from the government, then the person who provides the salaries to all the men, army men, defense men that are there. Then one who is responsible for paying the taxes, that was also an officer. So these are all different functionaries that were there in Ayodhya. This shows how advanced the law and the defense system, administration system was. Rama highlights all this, and he says there is a magistrate, then there is an officer, natural officer, nature officer, who takes care of the water bodies, hills and so on, maintenance of all that nearby. So ensure that you have a proper meeting with them. So this is a gathering. You must gather all these kinds of people, and then the right decisions should be taken. Then 40 to 42 talks about a great city. वीरैरद्युषितां पूर्वम् अस्माकं तातपूर्वकैः सत्यनामां दृढद्वारां हस्त्यश्वरतसङ्कुलां ब्राह्मणैक्षत्रियैर्वैश्यैः स्वकर्मनिरतैः सदा जितेन्द्रियैर्महोत्साहैः व्रतात्मात्यैः सहस्रशः प्रासादैर्विविधाकारैर्धृतां वैद्यजनाकुलां कच्चित् समुदितां स्वीताम् अयोध्यां परिरक्षसे. So here Rama says that I hope that the city of Ayodhya is prosperous from all sides, and because in the past our father, when he was a king, nobody could assail it, so you should also maintain the same dignity, the same, you can say, respect that people have towards Ayodhya. Ensure that no outside attacks take place, be well prepared. Now it will not happen that there will be no external attacks that take place. Obviously there is going to happen, but you should always be prepared. So for that Rama advises on this. Then further he says that the army should always be filled with elephants, horses, chariots, that is the various akshavhinis. Then all the different people, the different segments in the society, kshatriyas, brahmanas, vaishyas, shudras, everyone, swakarma niratai sada. Just as Krishna also highlights in the Gita, swakarmanan anarambat, chapter number 18. He says the same thing. Same thing Rama also tells you. Says that if everyone keeps doing their own work based on their professions and their swabhava nature, then the society will function properly. That should be done. Then lot of though there are different buildings, houses in the city, ensure that there is a proper maintenance for all that. None of the structures should be falling or they should be weak. So take care of all this also properly. If these signs are there, if the people in the society, all the people are doing things, doing their duties as per their own occupations also, that is, they are following their own professions. If the people in the city are always contented and satisfied with the facilities that you provide, be it housing, food or money, whatever it is, if you do all this, then all these marks are of a great city that is there. Next, urban development. Urban development 43 to 46. कच्चिचैत्यशतैर्जुष्टः सुनिविष्टजनाकुलः देवस्थानैः प्रपाभिश्च तटाकैश्चोपशोभितः प्ररिष्टनरनारीकः समाजोत्सवशोभितः सुकृष्टसीमा पशुमान् हिंसाभिरभिवर्जितः अदेव मातृको रम्यः श्वापदैः परिवर्जितः परित्यक्तो मयैः सर्वैः खनिभिश्चोपशोभितः विवर्जितो नरैः पापैः मम पूर्वैः सुरक्षितः कच्चिञ्जनपदस्फीतः सुखं वसति राघव. And he says that there should be a lot of development. So wherever you have some big halls or so, or some common programs, ensure that it is quite big, it is also maintained properly. Then you have temples, then you have sheds where drinking water is provided, you have proper washroom facilities and so on. Then you also create some open, you can say, like a ground or a hall, so that social activities, festivals, everything can be celebrated by the people can gather. Then the city should have a lot of cattle, overall well maintained cattle, cows, so maybe a lot of care should be given to them. The cow should be able to provide with proper milk, so ensure that none of the animals also suffer. Only these are all signs of an urban city, it seems. That is, quality of life is also good, right? People are being provided with all kinds of facilities. Obviously people are happy because all facilities are being provided and all their needs are being taken care of. So Rama advises, saying that you take care of all this. Next is, how will one's business grow? For that he says, कच्चित्ते दयिता सर्वे कृषिको रक्षजीविनः वार्तायां साम्प्रतं तात लोकोऽयं सुखमेधते तेषां गुप्तिपरिहारैः कच्चित्ते भरणं कृतं रक्षसा हि राज्ञा धर्मा रक्षा हि राज्ञा धर्मेण सर्वे विषयवासिनः कच्चित् श्रियः सान्त्वयसे कच्चित् लास्ते सुरक्षिताः कच्चिन्न श्रद्धास्यासां श्रद्धदास्यासां कच्चिद् गुह्यं न भाषसे कच्चिन्नागवनं गुप्तं कच्चित् ते सन्ति रेणुकाः कच्चिन्न गणिकाश्वानां कुञ्जराणां च तृप्यसि. So Rama says here that I hope the Vaishyas, that is the business community, is taking care of their duties properly, that is that involved in business. Then I hope that whatever things that they need, and maybe they don't have any attack or so that's taking from the kingdom, because it might affect business and trade. That's the reason you see always whenever there is some, like you had the pandemic, or you have something globally which takes place, even of, say for example, the Russia-Ukraine war that happened, or maybe I think it is still happening, or it is finally resolved, something like that. You see the entire world is affected, especially now. Maybe as an individual level we are not affected, but trade is always affected, trade and business is always affected. So such things have been highlighted here. Rama says whenever there is some natural disaster or a disease that spreads about, at that time things can go topsy-turvy, so ensure that business will be mainly affected. So take care of all this, be prepared for all the situations. This is highlighted verse 43, 47 to 50. Next is 51, 52. Kachid darshayase nityam manushanam vibhushitam uttayotsaatapurvange rajaputra mahapate kachinna sarve karmantaha pratyakshaste vishankaya sarve va punarutsrishta madhyamevatra karanam. He says that be accessible to all the people. So if any citizen, any person wants to come and meet you, you yourself being the king, you directly go and meet. Don't send any of your servants or ministers. This shows that the people also start developing a trust in you. And Rama here highlights that if you have become the king today, it is because of the common people who have chosen you as their king. So ensure that whenever they have some problems also, you yourself go and meet them and try to resolve their problems. Do not send anyone on your behalf. Though you are on that position, you have a few assistants and ministers, still ensure that you yourself go and help people, so that people also develop trust and respect for you. And then every day ensure that you get up early in the morning, you are present in the assembly, so that if people come in, ministers come, they have some issues or so to discuss, ensure that every day in the morning you are very much present in the assembly and you try to resolve all these problems. Next is 60, 61. कच्चिद् वृद्धांश बालांश्च वैद्यान् मुख्यांश राघव तानेन मनसा वाचा त्रिपिरेतैर्बुभूषसे कच्चिद् गुरूंश वृद्धांश्च तापसान् देवताथितान् चैत्यांश सर्वान् सिद्धार्थान् ब्राह्मणांश नमस्यसि. Further he says that how much ever wealth or kingly duties, all that is there, ensure that you keep doing your other religious actions or whatever things that are there on a personal front, you family time or your religious duties, whatever you have learned, the education that you have acquired from our sage, from our guru Vasishta, or in warfare, keep practicing all that. So ensure that personally and professionally also you keep growing. Don't be caught in Raja Dharma alone. So this is something which Rama highlights in verse 60 and 61. So this is something wherein how you relate to this in today's time. Sometimes we have excuses, right? I'm doing some work, I'm very busy in that, I don't have time for others. We have to make out time. So the same thing here Rama also highlights. Don't stick to your own rules. Everyone is a king, everyone has their own work and things to be done, but ensure that personally and professionally, spiritually, whatever practices you have, ensure that you don't give up on that. Take out time, make time for everything. Next is 62, 63. कच्चिदर्थेन वा धर्मम् अर्थं धर्मेण वा पुनः उभौ वा प्रीतिलोभेन कामेन न विवादसे कच्चिदर्थे च कामं च धर्मं च जयतां वर विभज्य काले कालज्ञ सर्वान् वरदसे वसे. Says the importance of purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. This has to be followed properly. So what is that? He says that first of all is dharma, that is, don't give up on your duties, be it your spiritual practices, religious duties, good conduct. So at any cost. Some kings, what happened is, because I'm a king or because I'm at a higher position, you must not show your supremacy, you must not be rude, you must not behave ill also. You are placed on a higher position, except that yes, people do respect and honor me. That doesn't mean that we become proud of our achievements. So ensure that you always be in dharma, you follow dharma. Or maybe like you can see a few elements that do, right? Maybe eating taxes, being on a higher position, showing one's supremacy, maybe threatening people, all such things you should not do. Always be on the dharma marga, because adharma, maybe initially you might feel that you're getting money or it can lead to profits, but ultimately one fine day it will bring about your downfall. So ensure that you don't do that. Always follow the path of dharma. Though the process is slow, you will surely become very successful. Next is further he also says, then once you follow all your duties also, then comes artha. Artha is money. Ensure that things are there, the treasury is always filled with money. Next is kama. Kama is sense pleasures also, that is properly you ensure that you spend time with your family, your wife and so on. And further it is now when things have to be done, that also has been highlighted in the scriptures. It seems that Smriti texts, what they highlight is, that is during the morning hours until you can say forenoon, that is considered from the Brahma Muhurta Kala till about 10 or 11 o'clock should be spent in following dharma, that is maybe religious activities or our own everyday morning duties and so on. Next, during the daytime, that is there, so early in the day is for practicing dharma and so on. Next, the entire day is for pursuing wealth. That's the reason most of us we go to work, right? So wealth, going to a job or maybe take care. Now in the case of Bharata, he was a king, so following his kingly duties. And then during the last quarter, that is during night time, first quarter of the night, so basically you can consider after 6, when the day is about to end, at that time you can use for things for pleasure and so on. So maybe pursuing something of your interest, maybe going and playing something, or maybe spending time with one's family, or sometimes what we do is at night you go out to eat or something like that, or you just roam about here and there. So for pleasure also time has been specified, but then what I will do is the entire day I will waste here and there, I'll enjoy myself, then at night I'll sit and do something. This should not be done. A right time period has been mentioned for everything. If that is followed, life will be good. So Rama highlights this. He says that if you do things in this way, life will always be good. So ensure that you follow dharma, you earn wealth, at the same time you enjoy the sense pleasures also, whatever you like. For that also there is time. Your self development is also important. There should be some enjoyment also that is there. So ensure that you do that. Further, he says that I hope you know all these rules that are to be followed. So this is the importance of the 4 Purusharthas. If you do all these 3 properly, ultimately the last one, moksha, you will get. Now there are about 14 traps that have been told for a king. What are that? It's between 65 to 67. नास्तिक्यमनत्रम् अनृतं क्रोधं प्रमादं दीर्घसूत्रताम् अदर्शतं ज्ञानवताम् आलस्यं पञ्चवृत्तिताम् एकचिन्तनमर्थानाम् अनर्थज्ञैश्च मन्त्रणं निश्चितानाम् अनारम्भं मन्त्रस्य परिरक्षणं मङ्गलाद्यप्रयोगं च प्रत्युत्थान च सर्वतः कच्चित्त्वं वर्जयस्येतान् राजदोषांश्च चतुर्दश. Here he says that there are 14 downfalls, 14 traps which you should avoid. What are that? First is disbelief. Disbelief in the other world. That is because in our culture we believe in life after death, karma and so on. Ensure that if you do only good things now, it will lead to good results later. So therefore, don't show that I'll do today whatever I have in life, let me enjoy, use it to the best. That should not be done. If you do something good today, if you always think of the future, now forget about the next world and so on. Even now, if you do good things now, only later it will lead to good fruits. So that has to be done. Second, this is the first one. Second is greed, being greedy. We have still, I want more. I want to annex more kingdoms. I want to bring more kingdoms under my control. I want to acquire more wealth. This is something which will trap you one fine day. Next is anger. Next, neglecting of kingly duties. Maybe you're so much busy in your personal life or doing things of kama that you give up on your raja dharma. That should not be done. Next, losing a control on the 5 senses. That should not. I like something, I keep on doing that the whole time. That should not be there. Maintaining a proper balance between things. Next is tiredness. Or maybe always feeling that no, why should I do things? I'll appoint ministers and servants, let them take care. So that should not be done. I will stop discharging my duties. This is something which is wrong. Further is failure to launch things. Like say for example, some major project is taking place. You're building a temple or some public welfare like wells or houses. That should never be delayed. It should be done at the right time. Then secrets should always be kept. If everything is being told openly, then that is going to trap you one fine day. So all your secrets, missions and everything should be kept secretive. Next is whenever a sacrifice or something good is about to happen, ensure that you utter some auspicious words, be in a positive environment, chant mantras and so on. Further is, whenever some elderly person comes, ensure that you always get up to receive them, maybe sages or so. Now in the case of kings, especially in Ayodhya, occasionally we had sages like Vishwamitra, Vasishta and so on coming. So ensure that you greet all the elders properly. Next is, ensure that you have a lot of ammunition. Fortification is forts. Everything is built properly, only then the kingdom will be able to survive even though there is an enemy attack. Then the 7 limbs of a state. Now what are the 7 limbs of the state? That is nothing but you have the chariots, horses, elephants, ministers, people, ammunition. Ensure that all this is functioning properly. If all this is not there, it will trap you one fine day. Like this, he tells a list of 14 things. Then last is the power. Ensure that though you have some power in hand, you are the king, you have a lot of power, ruling power in your hands, but ensure that you always use it in a positive way, otherwise it might trap you. Next 68 to 70 talks about the qualities of a successful king. दशपञ्च चतुर्वर्गान् सप्तवर्गे च तत्त्वतः अष्टवर्गे त्रिवर्गे च विद्यास्तिस्रश्च राघव इन्द्रियाणां जयं बुद्ध्वा षाड्गुण्यं दैवमानुषं कृत्यं विंशतिवर्गे च तथा प्रकृतिमण्डलं यात्रादण्डविधानं च द्वियोनि सन्धिविग्रहौ कच्चिदेतान् महाप्राज्ञा यदा वदनुमन्यसे. Further he says that lastly what he tries to conclude is, ensure that you have a proper knowledge of political science and so on. You have proper knowledge of the Vedas, different branches of knowledge. Only if you have proper knowledge, you will be able to guide and take care of your kingdom ahead. Next is, you should always be ready for some natural calamities and disasters like floods or maybe an endemic, pandemic, epidemic and so on. Then, so this is all natural even for human attacks, be it some annexation by an enemy king, or suddenly maybe in our own family also there might be the future generation princes or some previous generation kings who might be, sometimes they might attack you under the name of property or something. So be ready for all this. People who are ready for this, they will always be a very good king, they will become successful. So from your side, always be prepared. Last is, in general, some things have been told, that is 17 and 19. So let's just look at that. कच्चिनिद्रावशं नैषे कच्चित् कालेव बुध्यसे कच्चिच्चापररात्रेषु चिन्त्यस्थैरनैर्पुणं चिन्तयस्यर्थनैर्पुणं 19 कश्चिदर्थे विनिश्चित्य लघुमूलं महोदयं क्षिप्रमारभसे कर्म न दीर्घयसि राघव. So here he says that whenever you are about to launch some important project or something, ensure that all the preparations are being made. That is, whenever something important has to be done before the launching date and everything, all the prerequisites that are there, go and check it frequently. Otherwise it might bring disgrace to you in case something goes wrong. Maybe you are not prepared also, so it will become a failure, total waste of time, money and efforts. So ensure that all the necessary preparations, everything is made. Go and check it also frequently. Further in verse so these are some extra points that are being told. And also, when you seek the counsel, ensure that you have trust and seek it from a few people so that it doesn't lead to further confusion. Those few people should be learned. Next, verse 64. कच्चित्ते ब्राह्मणा शर्म सर्वशास्त्रार्थको विदाः आशंसन्ते महाप्राज्ञा पौरजानपदैः सह. Ensure that the brahmanas and the priests whom you call for doing sacrifices also, they always pray for the well-being of all the citizens of Ayodhya, not only for our royal family or not only for themselves. So ensure that whenever you do some sacrifices, prayers and so on, it is meant for all the people of Ayodhya, because all the citizens also we do consider as one family. 73 to 75. कश्चिदेषैव ते बुद्धिः यथोक्ता मम राघव आयुष्या च यशस्या च धर्मकामार्थसंहिता यां वृत्तिं वर्तते तातो यां च नः प्रपितामहः तां वृत्तिं वर्तसे कच्चिद्या च सत्पथका शुभा कच्चित् स्वातु कृतं भोज्यम् एको नाश्नासि राघव कच्चिदाशं समानेभ्यो मित्रेभ्यः सम्प्रयच्छसि. Further Rama he says that whatever you have studied, ensure that all that is being bearing fruit. That is, whatever we learn, the learning should not go waste. Use all that learning properly. Next is, he says, I hope that when I was leaving for Ayodhya, the respect that I got from the citizens, I hope the people of Ayodhya also are respecting and honoring you in the same way. I hope they are considering you to be a good king. Then do you also follow the principles that our father has laid? He was a great king. He was known for all his strength, power, and so on. I hope you are also maintaining the kingdom in the same way. And at the same time, but even the food that you consume, I hope you don't consume it selfishly all by yourself. You share it with the common people, you share it with your own family members. That is ultimately ensure that proper food is provided for everyone. If you do all such things, the kingdom will function properly. So these are all some random ideas that Rama talks about. So with this, Sarga comes to an end. Lastly, in the last verse 76, Raja tu dharmena hi palayitva mahipatirdandadarah prajanam avapya kritsnam vasudam yata vadichyutah swarga vadittachyutah swargamupaiti vidwan. Further, he says that if all the principles that I have highlighted in this sarga, if you practice it properly, then as you have followed the true dharma of a kshatriya, and you will be well known in the world, and surely you will go to Swargaloka. So with this, Rama concludes sarga 76. So if you notice, the entire sarga talks about, why I told you we have seen the sarga in detail, is the principles of Rajadharma, governance, without knowing whether Dashratha is there or no, for what purpose Bharata has come. Considering Bharata to be a king, many questions on many guidance points Rama gives, and that's how Bharata gets an idea. Okay, so these are all different ideas on administration and leadership. Okay, could everyone follow till here? Yes?
Rama, the entire thing is Rama is giving guidance to Bharata.
Sorry?
The entire thing, what you told is Rama is giving
Rama is
guidance to
telling Bharata. Yes.
No.
Okay. Next is now few verses are mentioned here too. Let's not get into this. We have already seen this. So properly striking the right balance. Don't trust everyone. So ensure that always don't support one party. That is it. Don't be partial towards anyone. Just because you might like a few people, they might be your childhood friends also. Don't have that partiality. Be equal with everyone. Next is, at the same time, you make yourself valuable by treating old, children, everyone equally, and also to our mothers, gods, the preceptors, guests, whoever come, ensure that you offer a lot of hospitality. Importance of Purusharthas, all this we have seen. Here also you have few things that are highlighted. Okay. This all we have already seen. Then Vidura Niti also advises some don'ts of a king. Vidura Niti, as told by Vidura to Dhritarashtra, it is also one of the gems of Sri Mahabharata. So now you see how the interconnection between Ramayana and Mahabharata. Saptadosha sadaragnya tavya vyasanodaya prayasho yair vinashyanti kritamula apishwaraha. Now there are 7 points which Vidura highlights to Dhritarashtra, saying that they will all lead to calamity. स्त्रियोक्षामृगयापानं वाक्पारुष्यं च पञ्चमं महच्च दण्डपारुष्यं अर्थदूषणमेव च. What are that? Women. Now women in the sense, not general women, that is being attracted out of passion if you fall in the trap of women. Now this Vidura, from a male perspective, he has written this, so therefore it is mentioned women, it's not in general women. For women it will be, if it was a female author also, she would have written men. That is basically the point, is over passion, that you have mere to be attracted towards people, be it man or a woman, for both the genders that are there, that is overly being passionate towards people, attachment and so on. At the wrong time, it might lead to few problems. You're trapped in that, you're distracted. Next is dice. Aksha is dice. In those times now, Vidura Niti is a part of Mahabharata, so gambling or playing dice was the main game then. So that is what ultimately lead even to the Mahabharata Yuddham. So that's the reason he advises gambling, dice, game of dice. Mrigaya, hunting, drinking liquor. Panam, then Vakparushyam, speaking harshly. These 5 and 2 more. That is, the level of punishment depends on the crime or on the sin that is being committed. If it is just a minor thing, maybe once you can give the warning and send the person away. First time only we don't go and kill the person for doing something wrong. So depending on the sin or the mistake that the person has done, the punishment should be decided. And if it is very severe, that is also wrong. Arthadushaname artha, that is wealth in the kingdom is misused. Maybe the king uses for his own personal purpose, or maybe uses it for wrong things which are not needed. So all such things should be avoided by a king. Further, Dashadharmam na jananti dhritarashtra nibodatan mattah pramattah unmattah shantav kruddho bubukshitah त्वरमाणश्च लुब्धश्च भीतः कामी च ते दश तस्मादेतेषु सर्वेषु न प्रसज्जेत पंडितः. Vidura, he tells Dhritarashtra that these 10 categories of people, they should never be there in your company. In fact, you should run away from them. Who are they? Intoxicated, that is basically into some addictions or so, does not have a clear picture what he himself is doing. One who is absent-minded, insane. So mattaha is intoxicated, pramattaha absent-minded, insane, a mad person, unmattaha, shrantaha, tired person. Sometimes when we are tired, we don't know what we speak, right? Or one who is angry, kruddaha, bubukshitaha, hungry, twaramana, hasty, that is very quickly. One who takes decisions, it might lead to problems later. Lubdaha, meaning covetous. So covetous you can consider somewhat to be like stealing someone else's property. Rather than stealing, you can say if something belongs to someone, oh, you have this, I also want that. So looking at someone, we feel everything, whatever is there with others, I also need that. That is that. Then bhitaha, frightened, kami, lustful, greed. And these are the 10 he says. Such kinds of, if such behavior anyone has, you have to be, all these qualities, you have to be free from them. At the same time, if a man has this, then some person who is having these qualities, we should be away from them. And the company of all these things, 10 things, should always, if a person is far from all this, it will not lead to problems at all. Otherwise, life is in danger. Further, he says, Ekaya dve vinishchitya trim chaturabhir vashe kuru panchajitva viditva shad saptahitva sukhi bhava. He says, discriminating two things, that is between good and bad by means of one's intellect, bringing 3 under your control. What is that? One's own friend, one's own enemy, and desire, anger or greed. These 3 things if we bring under by control by means of 4. Samadana Bhedadandaha. Samadana Bhedadandaha. Some references it is Samadama Bhedadandaha. Sama, now this I think few of us last week when we learned about Dhanurvedam also, you had seen this, wherein initially the first stage is we try to negotiate, right, little. Then next stage we feel that no, things are, the first thing is maybe in a positive note, very pleasantly we try to resolve issues. Things don't happen, then maybe little we might start preparing. We get to know that okay, there is no other solution, you have to take some proper action. Third is, for that you bring some alliance also, you take the help of someone. Lastly, Veda is you find some differences that are there. There is no other option, but the war has to take place. Last is Dandaha. That's suddenly you rage war. So therefore, proper. It should go step by step. So and that is the point here. What has been told by Vidura is what he advises Dhritarashtra, that okay, maybe some misunderstanding or something has taken place. It might be due to various reasons. It's not that the opposite person is evil by nature or so bad by nature. Just maybe there is some communication gap. Like it happens, right? In most of our cases, it happens mostly every day. I might say something, you might interpret it in a different way, and maybe you felt bad about it. Oh, she told me like this. But maybe tomorrow, so you feel bad about it. Some people we ignore it. Maybe 1 or 2 you feel very bad. You come back and you tell, no, why you told like this, I felt bad, or what exactly is what you mean, and so on. We ask, right? Maybe in a good way you ask. Now that time maybe I might also say, no, I didn't mean it this way, I meant this, and then we feel, oh, okay. So that is basically we are just talking, we are trying to maybe end the matter there itself. Whereas most of us, what we do is we directly jump, we get very angry, and even you go to that extent that we never want to speak to that person, or almost we develop enmity, right? So these things can always happen, maybe due to some miscommunication gaps and so on. Best example, Mahabharata Yuddham, in the case of Ashwathama, when Yudhishthira, he told a lie, Ashwathama, the elephant, dies. So that is something. Not Ashwathama, sorry, what is that? Abhimanyu, right? What is, no, Ashwathama, who is that character? Elephant, Ashwathama. Yeah, correct. So Ashwathama, not Abhimanyu, sorry, Ashwathama. So that is a lie that is there, but then it is the way we speak and way Dronacharya interpreted it, and he left the war and went away and so on. So that is a story that is there. So therefore, without jumping to conclusions, always having a proper understanding, because there can be problems. You see, 90% of the problems are because of communication gaps. So there is some misunderstanding that takes place, and many times it happens that it becomes very difficult for us to agree that there has been some miscommunication. Now say for example, I told you something It is not now. There are 25 people or so. Each one of you now, in the case of Vidura Niti or common topics like Ramayana, the explanation, the understanding might be the same. But maybe if we are having some other discussion on a general topic or so, it can lead to confusion, right? So maybe the way I am now here also, if I am explaining to you Vidura Niti, the way all the 25 of you, way each one understands is different, right? So maybe a few of you might not understand. So from here you ask me a doubt or so. No, I didn't. Does it mean this? Does it mean that? So I might tell you, no, it doesn't mean this way. It is something else. So it depends on everyone's understanding and at the same time perception also. Now there are two things. One is one's own understanding. Second is we can choose the way we want to understand. Say for example, there are two people. Maybe one person you like very much, another person you don't like. So the person whom you don't like, even if he says some good things, still we will dislike the person, right? This is human nature. And a person whom we like, even if he says false things or things that are useless, still we will go and appreciate the person just for the simple reason that we like him or her. So this is human nature, wherein we can also choose to understand how much we want. So like this, there are different things that are there. That is the samadana bheda danda. So properly we have to analyze everything, then only arrive at the decisions. Next is having a control on five senses, knowing the six. What is that? Treaty, if you have said, between two kingdoms also: war, hunger, thirst, calamity, stupidity, old age, death, and so on. So have a knowledge about all this. Next.
No, excuse me. Four,
Yes.
Rama, Dana, Beda, under 4 stages before going to a war or what?
War, or you can say even in our lives also, taking any decision. That's the reason I told you of understanding, right? Whenever we have some, you can say, conversation with someone also, maybe some misunderstanding, we don't directly go and maybe go to kill the person, right? Step by step we go. Maybe we first speak to him, we think on our side, then we go speak politely, we try to solve, then it doesn't happen, we get into an argument, and lastly if nothing happens, it is war. Okay, just as the Pandavas and Kauravas had a war. It's not that on day one itself they start fighting, right? Initially they had.
Rama is to negotiate. Dana is what?
Dana is, you can consider like maybe be little what to say. Sama is firstly to politely maybe get it amongst
Maybe
ourselves.
giving some leeway by Dana we mean.
Dana. So maybe like you can say, no, I give you this, you be happy. Something like that we do. So little bit of negotiation we do in Dana. Bheda is something wherein.
Veda is argument.
Sorry?
Veda is argument.
Yeah. So Bheda is something wherein you arrive at the conclusion that there is no other option. That is there. There are differences that are happening. You get into an alliance also at times. But then things have to take place. War is inevitable. Dandaha is wherein you take the action ultimately. So this is something. So deal. That is a deal or alliance. What is there? So this is something step by step you go about.
So Dana is, you said, giving.
Giving, like basically I give you this, you give me that. Like the Pandavas and Kauravas, they said, Pandavas said, you give me my share, we'll be happy. So that is Dana. Dana doesn't mean charity here. That is basically, you can say, an equal deal that we make. But just now for this, again the best example will be Mahabharata only. Initially they try to solve issues, then Dana, that is Pandavas, they said, they asked even for few villages, that are there 5 villages. Duryodhana said, forget about the kingdom, I'll not even give you these villages. So that was the level of, you can say, the nature of Duryodhana it shows. Then Veda is, again when they decide that war is inevitable, still at that time Krishna is sent as a Shanti Duta, as a peace messenger, wherein he says that now also you want Narayana or you want the Narayani Sena. He says, what I will do with you one Narayana, you give me your Sena. So his entire Sena is given. Yes, Vasudeva to Kamsa, correct. And so that's again, that is when then we find you arrive at a conclusion. Or the same thing when Arjuna in the middle of the battlefield he is confused. At that time also Krishna does the same thing. He tells everything we have done, so that is Bheda. It is everything has been done. If there is no other thing, there is no option left, then Dandaha. It should lead to the last stage, that is war. Therefore, we cannot suffer to make people happy also. We have tried our best. If things don't happen, then this is inevitable. War is inevitable. So that is Samadana Bheda Danda. Then control on the 5 senses, knowing the 6 parts, treaty, hunger, thirst, that is basically caring for the subjects, keeping away from the 7 which we have seen. So if these things are done, one will be very, very happy. Vidura highlights this. Further, the same shloka has
Samadana based on the 4 stages of what you said, negotiation.
negotiation.
So you can call it negotiation.
Negotiation, anything like a deal, whatever you can call it. Okay. So these are all the same for the same sarga shlokas have been highlighted. We have already seen, so let's not get into that. Shloka 69. Whom should not be negotiated with? This has been highlighted here. So king who's maybe a very small person like a child, then an aged man, and so on. Dirgharogi, one who's suffering from some ailments or so. So we should not negotiate in the sense we should not have a proper deal, because now whenever you do some deals also, always remember there should be proper equality. Both the parties should be equal, right? Now say for example, if you are having a debate between both of us, all of you and myself, say let us consider both of us should be on the same level, right? Now maybe I don't know anything about Ramayana and all of you are experts in Ramayana, then there is no use of having a debate, right? Whereas now both of us in our own way we have studied and then we put in our points also, that is different. So therefore the people should be equal. So here 20 types of kings have been highlighted with whom we should not have an alliance, or maybe you don't have to negotiate or you don't have to get into a fight or so, because it will be useless. Maybe a young king, or maybe someone who is very old, someone who is suffering from some illness, someone who's not, maybe he's staying away from his family, who's quite nervous, he has a lot of, you can say, nervous and cowardly people around him, who's greedy, then who does not have the support of his own ministers, then who's a bit fickle minded, then who's maybe always ill-fated. Ill-fated is nothing but always it leads to his defeat and so on. Mostly he is engaged in hunting, he's out of the state, he doesn't pay attention to his kingdom and so on. So such things are done, then it doesn't make any sense. So these are all the qualities that are mentioned in Rajadharma. So this directly is not much highlighted elaborately in the Ramayana. Shloka 69, just your elaborate explanation has been given. Okay. Next is Sarga 100 years here. Sarga 101. So till now Rama doesn't know about the death of Dasharatha. 101. Now Bharata patiently listens to whatever Rama had to tell, and now next Rama reveals the reality. Okay. Bharata here, what happens is he listens everything, and then finally he requests Rama that he please return back to Ayodhya. And at the time he also listens further to the death of Dasharatha. So a very small sarga that is there. Next, Rama and Lakshmana, they offer. Rama, he falls down as usual. He was also a Nara. After listening to the news of the death of his father, he falls down unconscious. Sita is also informed. They all go to the river Mandakini nearby, which was flowing. They offer all the rituals that are to be done. And all others also, they reach the hermitage of Rama. So the entire army, if you remember, Bharata had told them to wait at a distance. So all of those armies, everyone reaches the hermitage of Rama and hearing the cry of the brothers. Next is how Rama reacts. Tam tu vrajamivothrishtam mahavedanavārina Vāgvajram bharatenoktam amanognyam parantapah pragrahya ramo bahu vai pushpitagro yatha drumaha vane parashuna krittaha tatha bhuvi papataha. These were like thunder-like words, that is very harsh words that were spoken here by Bharata, and this hit Rama like a vajra, like a thunderbolt, and he fell down on the ground like a tree is being cut by an axe. So what a beautiful description by Valmiki. So this shows a poetic genius, poetic beauty. Now all the mothers also, they wail. Kaushalya and all the mothers, they form, and where Rama was offering, he was doing the Pindadanam to Dasharatha. Rama, Lakshmana, Sita, they meet their mothers, and he also offers respects to Vasishta and so on. तस्य देव समानस्य पार्थिवस्य महात्मनः नैतदौपयिकं मन्ये भुक्तभोगस्य भोजनम्. So while he was doing the Pindadanam, he says, so this highlights the importance of the karma, the Shraddha karma, last rites that we do. He says that for the mains, for our ancestors, Pindadanam is the best food that has to be done. So for all the people who have enjoyed on earth, while they have departed to the other worlds also, these rituals have to be done. Shrutistu khalviyam satya laukiki pratibhati me yadannah purusho bhavati tadannastasya devataha. It seems that whatever food a man is consuming, the same now the gods and ancestors also have to consume. That's the reason every day we offer food to the crows and so on, right? Meaning that now I am going to have food, so our ancestors in the form of crows, they can come, they can accept the food, so that we can also have the food. So the bhavaha, now here if you see, that's the reason why it is highlighted, importance of bhavaha. Now in reality, will our ancestors come in the form of crows and eat, or maybe even the Naivedyam that we offer. Lord, with our physical eyes, we don't see the Lord consuming, right? So that is the bhavaha, that is a feeling that we have. So therefore, we have to appreciate that feeling. Everything cannot be answered through logic. Will the Lord really come and eat? So it's not like that. So the bhavaha is what is very important, the feeling that we have. So Rama also highlights the same thing. Further, Sarga 104, Bharata finally requests Rama that you please return back to Ayodhya. So Rama now asks Bharata, why you have come here? To inform the news of our father's death, or what exactly it is? At that time Bharata says that is one part, but now I want you to return back to Ayodhya and rule the kingdom. Bharata pleads, एभिष्टसचिवैः सार्धं शिरसा याचितो मया भ्रातुशिष्यस्य दासस्य प्रसादं कर्तुमर्हसि. He says that he surrenders, he falls at the feet of Rama, he bows his head down, he says, tells Rama, please return back to Ayodhya. So it is a request from all my ministers, all the citizens of Ayodhya, that you should return back and rule the kingdom. न दोषं त्वयि पश्यामि सूक्ष्ममप्यरिसूदन न चापि जननीं बाल्या त्वं विगर्हितुमर्हसि. So he says that there is not even little fault that has been done on your side, that you have to be banished to the forest. So please return back to the kingdom. वने वाचीरवसनं सौम्य कृष्णाजिनाम्बरं राज्ये वापि महाराजो मां वासयितुमीश्वरः. So Rama here he says, he highlights, he says that Dasharatha alone has given me this opportunity to wear these robes and get the grace of sages and so on, lead a good life in the forest. And second was, his wish was to install me in the kingdom. So only one thing is going to happen. So therefore you please, I accept this as a wish of my father, and I must also obey that. यावत् पितरि धर्मज्ञे गौरवं लोकसत्कृतं तावत् धर्मभृतां श्रेष्ठ जनन्यामपि गौरवम्. So just as you have shown the honor to our father, similarly it must be shown towards our mothers also. So Bharata here also he says, Rama also, both of them they have a conversation on this. Further, Bharata he cries that in spite of making repeated requests, Rama is not agreeing, and Rama finally he consoles him. Bharata argues, Sandvita mamika mata dattam rajyamidam mama taddadami tavaivaham bhungshwarajyamakantakam. Bharata says that due to the greed of my mother, I got this kingdom, I am giving it back to you. So now you enjoy it, there will be no more obstacles that come your way. Sujivam nityashastasya yaf parairupajīvyate ramate natu durjivam yaf paranupajīvati. He says that one life of a man on whom people depend on him is a happy life, but the one who depends on others for him, it becomes very very difficult. So if we have few responsibilities, if other people are dependent on us, it is still fine, but then if one has to depend on others, the life becomes very difficult. At that time Rama consoles Bharata, natmanav kamakarosti purusho yamanishvaraha इतश्चेतरतश्चैनं कृतान्तः परिकर्षति सर्वे क्षयान्ता निचयाः पतनान्ता समुच्चयाः संयोगा विप्रयोगान्ता मरणान्तं च जीवितम्. He says, Rama consoles that life is temporary, so therefore man is neither independent nor he can do anything of his own will. So therefore faith or destiny has to play his way. I consider this also to be a blessing. Whatever comes our way, we have to accept and go upon. So ultimately while we die, whatever wealth, kingdom we have, everything is also going to vanish. And so therefore let us all enjoy life to our best, and whatever has been blessed, whatever has come by me, I am also experiencing that. Every life ends in death and so on. So this is how Rama consoles Bharata. Yathagaram dradasthonam jeernam bhutva vasidati tathaiva sidanti nara jara mrityo vasham gataha. He says, even though how much ever a house is built very strong with strong pillars and so, still one fine day it will get destroyed. Similarly, when old age and death comes in, people are also going to die. So why should we go behind such temporary pleasures? Atyeti rajaniyato sana pratinivartate yatyeva yamuna purna samudramudakakulam. He says that once a night passes away, that is, once something gloomy or so happens, evil happens, it will not be repeated again, because tomorrow again the sun is going to rise, a new day is going to be there. So there is positivity that will come in. So therefore, let us accept, let us always believe that good things will happen with all of us. अहोरात्राणि गच्छन्ति सर्वेषां प्राणिनामिह आयुंषि क्षपयन्त्याशो ग्रीष्मे जलमिवांशवः. He says that just as the days and nights are passing, our lifespan is also reducing. So why should we go and maybe keep fighting for our rights or may indulge in evil things also? Whatever little days of life that we have, let us make the best of it. आत्मानमनुशोचत्वं किमन्यमनुशोचसि आयुस्ते हीयते यस्य स्थितस्य च गतस्य च. He says whether you do good things, whether you're moving, whether you stay in a particular place, your study, still lifespan is always decreasing. Therefore, always grieve. That is, feel bad that oh, my lifespan is decreasing, so I'm wasting time, let me make the most of it. You don't grieve for others also. Here Bharata was feeling bad for Rama, so therefore Rama tells all this, you don't feel bad for me. It is everyone's faith, everyone's destiny. But wherever you are, whether we are in a kingdom or whether we are in a forest or so on, we should know how to keep ourselves happy. This is again a life lesson for us. In spite of all the different problems, calamities and things that come in our life, wherever we are, instead of complaining, why not look at the positive side of things and why not accept the things that are there. So always enjoy the lifespan that is there in your hands. सहैव मृत्युर्रजति सह मृत्युर्निषेदति गत्वा सुदीर्घमध्वानं सह मृत्युर्निवर्तते. Rama says, accept the reality of life. Ultimately, one fine day death is going to take place. So therefore, don't have to worry about all these temporary pleasures. Nandantyadita aditye nandantyastamite hani atmano navabudyante manushya jivitakshayam. He says that when the sun is rising and setting, people are anyways happy, right? They are unaware that the lifespan is getting reduced one fine day. Now all this why Rama says, now you might have a doubt. Here Rama speaks all this, but ultimately after 14 years, he comes back, he accepts the kingdom and he becomes a king, right? So there all these principles, don't they matter? So here it doesn't mean that no, lifespan is decreasing, one fine day I'm going to die. If these thoughts come to our mind, that doesn't mean that we don't enjoy life, right? Or doesn't mean that we don't eat. Now one fine day I'm going to anyways die, why should I eat today? We don't say that. So here what Rama tries to highlight is, just because for a temporary period in life, maybe for a span of few years or few months, if something disturbing or maybe some difficult period has come in, we should learn to accept that. Because tomorrow, definitely after 14 years, things did change for Rama. He became the king. So at that time, he had to follow his dharma. He accepted the kingdom. So it's not that he went against the wish of his brother or he just gave up on life. He did not do that. But he said, whatever, the thing that we have to learn from here is, whatever life throws at us, we have to accept that. So it can be a few periods, few time, you can say few span, which is a span in life which is quite difficult, like it happened in the case of Rama. That doesn't mean that later he has to, he gave up on everything. So how he consoles himself, the same thing he tells to Bharata is, life is temporary, lifespan keeps reducing, right? So one fine day we are going to die. That doesn't mean that we don't enjoy life, we don't take care of ourselves also. That should be done, but then if today something has come in, why should I think about, oh, I'm banished to the forest, oh, my stepmother behaved like this towards me. Instead of wasting time in doing this, let me consider this to be as a blessing. Let me spend some time in the forest. Maybe there will be some purpose. Maybe there is some reason behind all the things that are happening. So let me make the most of it instead of complaining. So you also accept life this way. Maybe faith or life has something good for you. After 14 years when I return back, I will always accept the kingdom and we will live together. यथा काष्ठं च काष्ठं च समेयातां महार्णवे समेत्य च व्यपेयातां कालमासाद्य कञ्चन एवं भार्याश्च पुत्राश्च ज्ञातयश्च धनानि च समेत्य व्यवधायन्ति ध्रुवो ह्येषां विना भवः. So Rama here he says that just as in an ocean, two pieces of wood, they meet each other, they float together, ultimately they are separated. In the same way, all the relations, riches, everything will be together for some time. Maybe some fine day we are going to be separated. So we should not just keep wailing about that. Separation is also a part of life. नात्र कश्चिद्यथा भावं प्राणी समभिवर्तते तेन तस्मिन्न सामर्थ्यं प्रेतस्यात्यनुशोचितः. So Rama says no one can escape from destiny. So therefore, one cannot control one's own death. So whatever little lifespan we have in our hands, let us make the most of it. यथा हि सार्धं गच्छन्तं ब्रूयात् कश्चित् पतिस्थितः अहमप्यागमिष्यामि पृष्ठतो भवतामिति एवं पूर्वगतो मार्गः पितृपैतामहैर्ध्रुवः तमापन्नः कथं शोचेद्यस्तनास्ति व्यतिक्रमः. So just as if there is a traveler also, if you have lost our path, there is some vehicle or someone, a local person coming, we will follow that caravan. There an example of a caravan is given. We might follow that person. Similarly, the path that has been shown by our ancestors and elders, we must always path that. So why should a man grieve then? So here why Rama highlights this is, he says that all my ancestors, all the other kings of Raghukula, they have always stuck to their promises. If today I break my promise, that means I'm showing disrespect. I'm not following the path that my ancestors have shown me. Therefore, I cannot do this. You please accept all this. So Rama is basically explaining and consoling Bharata by giving different examples. Further he says, Vayasaf padamanasya srotaso va nivartinaha atma sukhe niyoktavyaha sukhabajaf prajasmritaha. He says, once water starts flowing, the same water will never return back to its source. That similarly, do things that make you happy, because if you do always good things which bring about happiness, it is said that people will always be happy. So it's not that once a problem comes in, just like the water, once it has left its source, it will never return, right? So similarly, that is age passes about. Similarly, things that are happened evil, if today something evil or you can say disturbing has happened, it's not that the same thing will happen always. So let us always look at things happily, then things will always be happy for us. Things will always be in our favor. So it is all these shlokas Rama tells to develop positivity in the minds of Bharata. Ete bahuvida shoka vilapa rudite tada varjaniya hidirena sarvavastha sudhimata. Rama says a wise man should always, grief is a part of human life, it is a part of human nature, but you should have a control on it. So therefore stop all this crying and lamenting. Let us accept whatever is there and live a life. धार्मिकेण नृशंसेन नरेण गुरुवर्तिना भवितव्यं नरव्याघ्र परलोकं जिगीषत. Says if a man has to always prosper, even in the higher worlds that is there, he must always be compassionate, virtuous and obedient to one's own preceptors and elders. So this thing, my father and my stepmother have told me to do, so I'm just following their orders. So what should we do? Some extremely difficult situations come. What should be done? A few pieces of advice. Deep awareness. Be aware of what exactly has to be done. Understand or accept. Now some things are beyond our control. One point of time, if you have given your best, we have to accept. Just as Krishna tells the same in the Gita. Tells Arjuna, you have done your best. Now sitting and lamenting is of no use. Accept faith and now just do your actions. Then get inspired by larger principles of dharma like the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Gita, or our own role models and so on. Next is contemplate on what is a true nature, reality, Brahman, philosophy. That is basically know about reality, know about things that are there, value things in life, and ultimately appreciate the importance of time. Today time is there, today we are there, lifespan is very less, so don't waste your time in lamenting and developing evil thoughts. Always develop good thoughts in your mind. Okay, so with this Sarga 101, Sarga 105 gets over. Now Bharata further argues back, so he doesn't give up, he also has to argue back. So that is, and then he talks about a few duties from Grihastha Ashrama, then he talks about something from the Manusmriti and so on, about Kshatriya Dharma. So he was also, you can say, he keeps debating. It's not that he wanted to argue, but then he also had to put his points further. So today time is almost up, let us stop here. Next time we will see how Bharata argues back with Rama.